So good morning to those present in the meeting room today and those joining remotely. Welcome to this final meeting of this administration's cabinet. As we are now in the pre-election period of heightened sensitivity, the monitoring officer has decided that this meeting will not be live streamed. However, a recording of the meeting will be made available after the election. To confirm the procedures for today's meeting, members joining the meeting remotely could indicate if they wish to speak by using the raise your hands function. Agenda item number 1, then, apologies for absence.
No apologies today.
David, did you want to come in?
Sorry, Leader, as I already mentioned to you, I have a conflicting appointment later on, so if we're not finished by 11:45, I'll have to leave.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, declarations of interest.
No declarations.
Lovely. Agenda item number 3, minutes of the meeting held on the 12th of February 2025. And in respect to the minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 12th of February, does any Cabinet member have any comment on their accuracy? That being the case, I am going to propose the minutes be approved, and I will ask that Councillor Monk will second. Councillor Monk?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Happy to second.
I will now ask for a show of hands for all those in favour.
Those are carried.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4, leaders' announcements. I will keep these announcements brief this morning, but I do want to take this opportunity to thank our elections team, who are working so hard on preparations to ensure May's vote goes as smoothly as possible. As ever, it is a Herculean task that they face with all 87 divisions going to the polls, needing to deal with nominations and then register candidates for them all, ensuring that the correct information and guidance is handed out, issuing polling cards to households across the whole of Cornwall, and then, of course, to staff the polling stations and coordinate the count and declarations the following day. It really is a phenomenal effort, and we should all be grateful for everything they do to ensure democracy runs smoothly each time an election is held. Thank you. Agenda item number 5. This is questions from the public. I've got 2 questions from the public, and I will not be allowing supplementary questions. So the first question is going to Mr. G. Smith, Maybin, who is attending in person. Good morning, Graham, and how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Since this is the final cabinet, can I also thank you for your public service in recent years and wish you all the very best after the 1st of May. My real question, though, is in February, the council published an FOI answer saying its 7-month search for a head of future air and space at Newquay Spaceport was continuing. On the 11th of March 2025, we learned that the then economy portfolio holder had been appointed to this role. Who made that appointment and when?
Graham, thank you. The appointment was made by Cornwall Airport Limited and formally made on the 17th of March 2025. Question 2, Mr. Elliott from Truro.
Good morning, Chair.
Morning.
Good morning, Leader. Good morning, Cabinet, and all Cornwall Council members and your officers present. My question is, does the Leader think that the recruitment process for Head of Future Air and Space at Newquay Airport must be rerun? Because it has scandalously come to light that the vacancy was only published to one small website for just 16 days in the school summer holidays, so almost no one knew about it, and the closure of application deadline was too short, and the CEO of CoreServe never even knew about the appointment.
Thank you for your question. My response is no, I do not think the recruitment process should be rerun. Cornwall Airport Limited is wholly owned by CoreServe Limited, which is wholly owned by Cornwall Council. Due to its local authority ownership, CoreServe and its subsidiaries are expected to adhere to principles of good governance and transparency, especially when dealing with public funds or services. This includes operating fair, transparent and accountable recruitment processes. The appointment to the head of Future Air and Space followed a vigorous and impartial selection process, which included public advertisements of the role, shortlisting based on qualifications and structured interviews. While this appointment was itself not within the scope of the principles of public appointments, the decision making has met the requirements of the Nolan principles. Thank you for your agenda item number 6, council-owned entities business plan 2025 to 29. Councillor Harris is going to introduce and propose, and I will be looking for Councillor Monk to second the recommendations. So over to Councillor Harris. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. I understand we are no longer needing to read the recommendations out, which is great for my voice. But can I just point out a small amendment to recommendation 6? And it's almost for the avoidance of doubt. And it is by adding at the end the words being approved by Cabinet. What this does is actually make sure that each time Celtic Sea Power brings the budget forward to Cabinet, it actually has to be approved before they can draw funds down. So it's pretty straightforward. We have a variety of portfolio holders involved in the group of companies, and I will be asking each one to comment on their own areas. But on an overall basis, the council-owned entities business plans for 25-29 are presented today for Cabinet approval. These business plans have received endorsement by the respective shareholder and owners boards in February. This includes commissioner endorsement, and they've also been taken to Corporate Finance Overview Performance and Scrutiny Committee, who endorsed the plans on the 11th of March this year, prior to being brought forward to Cabinet today for approval. Portfolio engagement has been sought by portfolio holders by the respective shareholder boards as well. In the past, Cornwall Housing, Celtic Sea Power and Trevet 2024-28 business plans were approved by Cabinet in March 24, and the CoreServe 24-28 business plan was approved by Cabinet in September 24, which was to allow for the review of the airport and CoreServe Facilities Limited. I'll now hand over to Councillor Monk to update you on the Cornwall Housing business plan, please. Back quickly.
Thank you, Councillor Harris. To summarise this plan, the 2025-2029 Cornwall Housing Business Plan considers the delivery of social housing within a national and local context. The key deliverables set out in this plan are ensuring that the performance of our council home services using the assurance framework to monitor the progress, improving the repair service for residents by working in partnership with contractors working in 3 geographical areas: the West, Central and the East. And they'll do that initially for an interim basis of 3 years, and we'll also enter into a new 10-year mechanical and electrical contract commencing on April the 1st, 2025 to provide gas servicing and heating breakdowns, and also ensuring compliance performance is sustained and outstanding requirements are met by April 2026. Thank you.
Also, sorry, Councillor Worth, if you can cover the CoreServe business plan, please.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. CoreServe business plan is based on a framework of delivering services to the residents of Cornwall through an increased commercial activity and to increase the return to Cornwall Council as the shareholder through the winning of external frameworks and other partnerships. The key deliverables set out in the business plan are setting out the expectations around the growth of Cormac's external business beyond its core council term maintenance contract and environmental service. The CoreServe board seeks this external growth coming through acquisitions and strategic collaborations with other public and private sector organisations across the Southwest. And at this point, actually, I just want to mention the new appointment there of Neil Edmonds as CEO, and particularly his endeavour in working with us as the Cabinet in looking at this expansion. It's extremely important, particularly working with colleagues in Devon in looking at external business across the border. I'll also compliment there Jan Ward, our new chair, coming in as well. The care business of CoreServe will continue to focus on delivering core services to the highest possible standard, supporting the people of Cornwall. The company works in partnership with Council Health and the voluntary sector to focus on preventing affordable admissions into hospitals, to enable re-enablement and recovery, and provides longer term support within the community. Back to you, Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Worth. Can I now turn to Treveth? The Treveth business plan, like the previous year, does not request any capital funding uplift and instead focuses on delivering their current pipeline of projects. This ensures there's a focus on delivering tangible benefits for residents and the council. The key deliverables set out in the business plan are the continued progress towards an agreed annual target of residential housing units delivered, delivery of a portfolio of commercial properties. On this, Treveth anticipates that at least 2 schemes will be ready to start during this business plan period. There's also a commitment to take an active lead in decarbonising developments and the integration of renewable energy into the business model. And of course, we're also looking at continued progress on special projects such as the Pydarth Regeneration Scheme and the Langgarth Garden Village. I just want to add on Treveth. I've chaired its owners board for the last few years. This is a very well-run entity. It has actually progressed quicker than expected when it was set up. And I have every confidence in its management, and I look forward in the future just to reading about its continued success. And on that, Councillor Worth, back to you for the Celtic Sea Power business plan, please.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. In this case, Celtic Sea Power Limited is a company wholly owned by the council that is focused on the delivery of Celtic Sea flow strategy. These initiatives are aimed at facilitating the growth of the floating offshore wind sector in Cornwall and the whole southwest region. The floating offshore wind industry is a key development sector for the council's economic growth ambitions, which also aligns with the council's carbon neutral objectives. The plan sets out the proposed activity for the company over the next 4 years. This will be then working towards supporting the sustainable development of flow, the floating offshore wind, and maximising a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Cornwall and the wider Celtic Sea region. I just want to add to that in saying that I've been particularly proud to be part of this. It's difficult sometimes to understand what the size of this opportunity is for Cornwall. And I'm particularly encouraged by the involvement, particularly of Crown Estates, and also particularly of GB Energy in working with our officers and ourselves in bringing this to fruition. The other thing is to identify third parties for investment and funding with the key objective to extending the council's green growth reserve until they achieve financial stability. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Worth. I do recall when you mentioned getting third-party investors, you were saying to me yesterday that if you could, even you would put £10,000 into this company. Brave man. I just want to end on one thing, and it's not meant to be a negative. Our group of companies are distinct entities from Cornwall Council, but I do sometimes worry that we go over the top on this distinction. I know this has started to be looked at, but we must keep on working to get this right by working collaboratively. We must remember that in the end, we're all in this together. And on that, I'll close. Leader, I'm happy to actually formally propose the recommendation.
Is subject to the alteration you
Yes.
made. Yeah, thank you. This is going to be seconded by Councillor Monk. Are you happy with that alteration? Thank you. So can I look to see if there's any questions from Cabinet members? And if not, and it's not because we don't want to ask questions, but we have been talking about this for weeks and months and months. So I just want to say, before I go to members outside of the Cabinet, a thank you to David for all the work that's gone into this. an incredible piece of work, and I'm really, really proud of where we now find ourselves with this business plan. So, am I seeing any hands from outside of cabinet? And there's nothing coming online. So that being the case, oh, Councillor Conway, I apologise. You were a little slow in putting your hand up.
No problem. Wish you well. Just like to ask, can we have confidence in the Corsair report when they have, especially in view of Councillor Harris's comments about trying to get the companies closer to the council, when a senior member of cabinet is appointed to a senior post within one of the Corsair companies, and the whole appointment is not subject to reference to Sir William Shawcross and his committee, because that only relates to Parliament and not to local government.
I am going to hand over to Councillor Harris, but Councillor Conway, if you were here at the start of the meeting, I think the answer that I provided to the two public questions were absolutely emphatic on the process, and the Nolan principles had been followed. So let me hand over to Councillor Harris.
Not actually sure I can add much here. In all honesty, John, unless you want to rephrase your question and narrow it down.
The whole point is that there appears to be far too close a relationship between the appointment to a senior post in the company, and there's been no evidence of external advertising of the post on a recent basis. Or and say the big problem I've got with it is that there is no way that you could get a parliamentary committee or similar to look into an appointment which has apparent nepotism. I'm saying apparent nepotism because the evidence hasn't been provided how and why, but it doesn't look right to the man in the street.
Right, I'm just going to hand over to Councillor Harris,
sorry.
and it will come back to me.
Sorry, Councillor Conway. I think I'll let Councillor Taylor answer in full. I have actually got every faith in the way this was done. It was advertised, as the leader already said, it was advertised openly and properly. The proper procedures have been gone through.
And I just want to refer you back to the response to the two written questions that were submitted, and I'm very happy to send those written or my verbal responses through to you if you want to just cast your eye over the words. Thank you. Councillor Harris, Councillor Conway, if you're going to pursue this, I am going to stop it because I believe that it has been adequately answered. But you're very welcome to write to me or even send an email to the monitoring officer. Thank you. So are there any more hands up for this one? If not, it has been proposed and it has been seconded. So can I see a show of hands, please?
Thank you. Those recommendations are carried.
Thank you. Now, can we move to agenda item number 7, which is resource and waste strategy? Councillor Mould is going to introduce and propose, and I will be looking for Councillor Alvey to second the recommendations. So, Councillor Mould, thank you.
Thank you, Leader. So the resource and waste strategy, it's in our hands, literally, was adopted by Cornwall Council in 2018. Since then, the council has invested and made significant improvements to its waste and recycling services so our residents can reduce, reuse and recycle more waste. Our community has responded to the challenge and we are recycling more than ever before. And next year we will recycle over 50% of everything we throw away. The new resource and waste strategy sets out the key legislative changes, opportunities and challenges, the strategic aims and milestones for the resources and the waste we manage over the next 20 years. New legislation and targets have been introduced that will require further changes to how we will provide waste services in Cornwall. The new resource and waste strategy explains the new regulations and targets and the opportunities and challenges they present. In November, we asked everyone for their views and used them to inform this strategy. The results clearly show that residents feel strongly that reducing waste and increasing recycling is important. We will continue to work with people who live and work and visit Cornwall to make sure it is as easy as possible to produce less waste and to reuse, repair and recycle more items and materials. In order to achieve our targets and plan waste services that work for us in Cornwall, we have set out the 5 key principles. We will improve, plan and develop services in line with the waste hierarchy of prevention, reuse, repair, recycling, recovery and disposal. We aim to meet the targets set by government in the Environment Act 2021 as a minimum. To reuse, recycle or compost at least 65% of household waste by 2035. To ensure that rubbish and residual waste does not exceed 287 kilograms per person by 2042. We will ensure that the costs of providing waste services are value for money by providing effective and efficient services appropriate to our communities. We will monitor and reduce the overall emission-based impact of providing waste services in Cornwall to meet our carbon neutral objectives. We will continue to educate and improve resource and waste awareness in our communities, empowering our residents, visitors and businesses to use our services and to make informed and sustainable choices. A detailed waste strategy delivery plan will be developed, setting out how we will reach each of these key principles. This delivery plan will be updated annually and will outline progress against our strategy. The strategy will be reviewed at a minimum of every 5 years, with the delivery plan updated annually to confirm it remains relevant in the light of the rapidly changing policy environment and provides the appropriate framework to drive our performance upwards and ensure that we are on track to deliver all of our targeted improvements. The resource and waste strategy provides Cornwall Council with a clear strategic direction for resource and waste management over the next 20 years, and the recommendations are as set out. Thank you.
I'm looking quickly to see, it's Councillor Olvey. Thank you very much. The second.
Thank you, Leader. I'm very, very happy to second this. Waste collection and processing is a major contributor to climate change, is currently responsible for about 4% of emissions in Cornwall. The strategy commits to monitor and reduce the overall emission-based impact of providing waste services in Cornwall to meet our carbon neutral objectives. The best way to deliver change is to move as close as is feasibly possible towards zero waste. Circular economy, where our finite resources are conserved and used efficiently. This strategy commits to collecting and processing waste in an efficient way that reduces its environmental impact and, where possible, is managed locally. By focusing on waste prevention, reuse and repair, we can meet our objectives and we can ask everyone in Cornwall to make that commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Olvey. Councillor Mould, I just want to say something before I see any hands coming in from the Cabinet. And I know you've absolutely thanked the team that support you. And I just want to publicly acknowledge the huge task that the team had in absolutely implementing this. I think it's fair to say as well that there's been some tweaks. There's been a few telephone calls, but overall, when you think about the geography of Cornwall and the vast numbers of bins and containers that have been delivered out to our residents, I think it's absolutely commendable. So I want to say a special thank you to everybody involved. I also want to acknowledge the fact as well that we live in a very disposable society. And so the fact that some of our waste recycling centres have now got reuse shops, I think that is an absolute step forward. And I also think as well that my understanding is that as we're getting electrical equipment in, those are being tested, PAT tested, so that they can also be recycled. So Carol and more importantly, your team, a huge thank you and well done. And I know it's made a difference to what I get rid of in my household now when I see what is not in my big bin and what is now in my recycling. So congratulations. Carol, did you want to come back?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, absolutely, it's been a mammoth task. And when we think that every rollout has been nearly 54,000 households, it has been a massive task. And I think Jackie and her team, I mean, they keep cheerful. They're always cheerful. And we have had some bumps in the road. We really have. And I think, I think it's fair to say there has been some frustration with the public. Sometimes I've tried to contact council and we haven't got a hold of them. And, I phoned 3 times. And that means you get 3 identification numbers. So we've got to phone you 3 times. but it's evened itself out. We've put more resources where we've needed them on the phones when we've needed them. So it has been. And the last rollout has started, which was by far the biggest, which was probably 80,000 houses that we moved on to the last rollout. So it has been, and I'm hugely proud of what the team have done. And all I have done has just been along for the ride. They've absolutely nailed it, and it's been great. But I wouldn't want everyone to think we now sit back on our laurels. No, we don't. We have new policies that are coming along, flimsy plastics, EPNR. There are lots of challenges ahead that we have to roll out. But I think for me, the best thing we do within our waste team is our public engagement. I think getting out to the public understand, they engage with us, and they really do understand, especially the younger generation, about waste and resource. So thank you for your kind words, and they all know how I feel about it, I hope. So again, thank you to everybody. It's been a huge success for the council, and we can end our 4 years of saying we've come out on a very positive note, hopefully with the waste resource strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mould. Councillor Ellenbrook.
Yes, sorry, just following on from that. I was up at Wadebridge last week for the food and farming event, which the Royal Cornwall Agricultural Association put on every year, at which approximately on both days, or on about 700 young people are there on both the first day and the second day. So it's actually quite a lot of young people there. And Biffa were there with an absolutely incredibly entertaining public what's the word I'm using, presentation, that's the word, and very much an activity there as well. Most of the young people who were there were primary age, and I think there was no young person there who went away without realizing just how important recycling was. And there was another stand there with loads and loads of stuff that had been taken from the sea. So I think what we have to remember as well is, as part of this this whole strategy, if we get our young people engaged and involved in it, they will actually make their parents and carers and the adults in their household start recycling. So well done to Biffa for all the work that they do on engaging with our children and young people.
Thank you, Councillor Ellenbrook. Councillor Harris.
Councillor Mould, thank you. I think, as you well know, I set off as a bit of a Luddite on this.
Never.
Thank you.
Never.
Thank you, colleagues. Allow me to be gracious. However, we're now into work week 3 or 4 in my area, and I'm absolutely intrigued to see, with a little bit more thought, how what goes in the black bag gets reduced. Some of us used to throw our old jars in the black sack and everything, but now we wash them out and put them in the glass, etc. So, well done. And if you can get something like me appreciating it, you've gone a long way there. One thing I was going to say, that I'm not sure you've majored on, and you perhaps should do, is the unintended benefit. Well, maybe it's not unintended, but it's not publicised benefit of taking the food waste out of the black sacks, which means that when what's left in the black sacks goes to the incinerator, it's not full of wet, stodgy stuff, and actually burns a lot easier and a lot more efficiently. So it's a double whammy in terms of winners. Thank you. Well done.
Carol, would you like to come back on what burns in the incinerator?
And you're right, it is. When it's wet, it doesn't burn so efficiently, and it doesn't get clogged up. They don't have to turn it off quite so often. Not that they turn it off that often, but if they have to. So it actually does more efficiently, more power, more energy, more electricity. Happy days.
Lovely. Councillor Burr, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to really pass on my thanks to Councillor Mould. It was a massive undertaking. So when you start thinking about, not everybody's house has a straightforward driveway, and there's cul-de-sacs, there's back alleys, all this sort of thing where people are used to leaving their waste. It's a huge undertaking. I'd just like you to make sure that we pass on to the work men and women on the ground for all the hard work they do. It's extraordinary how so little casework comes to you as a elected member about waste. It's because it's done so well, and we thank them.
They do a grand job. All the teams on the road, and of course they are very well monitored, aren't they? They've got cameras now. There's everything there, so that, anyone that has that's the one thing I do say to everybody. If you've seen something that you don't think is right, if it's not right, report it. If you don't report it, we don't know, we can't put it right. And there's hardly anything I don't think that we couldn't find out about or monitor and check and do. So it's well worth mentioning it, because sometimes you do, and it is frustrating if you see something that you don't think is quite right. So the answer is report it.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other hands going up, so I'm going to bring in Councillor Mike Thomas, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader. And yes, thank you, Carol, for a team of people who have done an absolutely superb job. This is something that I think as Cornwall Council we can be really pleased about. And it's good for me because, as Peter will testify, I was part of the original waste inquiry, which was led by former Councillor James. But I have more of an existential question, and that is to do with food waste. It really does concern me. The discussion we had in the previous administration was about the anaerobic digesters. And I'd like to know whether we've got any progress in this, because this is something that we don't publicise, the fact that the food waste, to the best of my knowledge, still goes to Devon. So if that has changed, fantastic. If it's still going to Devon, this is something that really, in my opinion, needs to change. We were talking about localized anaerobic digesters, so that food could be taken from areas, local areas, and put into a digester and reused. So I really like to know, where are we with the anaerobic digesters? This is a really big issue for people concerned with food waste. Thank you, Leader.
Councillor Mould, thank you.
Yes, thanks, Mike. It absolutely is a conversation that we have started to have. And it's going to be a massive cost. I think for me, it is understanding what that provision looks like. And I think Jackie will back me up when we say we start collecting food waste and we have lots and lots and lots. It drops off over time. I think as our data gets processed and we understand what tonnage of waste we are dealing with, then we have a clearer idea of what our own anaerobic digestion ask will be. I think up until this point, we've actually been trying to work out something that we don't have the data to support. So it's certainly on the radar. It certainly is talked about. And what would our provision look like? Do we want 3 small ones across Cornwall? Do we want 1 big one? What does that delivery look like? And we will be coming down to money and cost at the end of the day, but absolutely it's because it's a natural progression, isn't it? You look after everything in your own county, it's the best way to go. So the conversation is happening, maybe not going as quickly as we all would like, but I think until we understand what our provision will look like, that's where we sit in.
Thank you. Can I just thank Councillor Mould, and I really do appreciate the work of the teams. And Councillor Ver is absolutely correct in terms of casework. There've been 1 or 2 issues, very minor, but it's really shown that our staff really know how to do this, and they've been led well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Right, can I go to Councillor Dave Crabtree, please?
Thank you, Leader. Just as no questions, but just a comment as chair of the Neighbourhoods Overview and Scrutiny Committee. On behalf of the members of the committee, I would like to fully endorse the Resource and Waste Strategy 2025 to 2045, which we have fully scrutinised and approved. The committee would like to commend Jackie and her team for all the work they have put into compiling this report and accepting feedback from the committee, especially when additional pressures to increase recycling rates and also having to factor in the challenges of having to deal with the logistics of adding extra items to the curbside collections regime this year, the food waste, and closely to be followed by cartons and film. I know that this is about future strategy, but however, I feel it is appropriate to acknowledge all the hard work carried out during the rollout of the new collection programme, including the collection of food waste, and also compliment the crews out on the streets who collect from the roadsides and those in the HWRCs who are trying to educate the public to recycle more by placing items in the appropriate bin or divert it into the reuse shops on site. From my point of view, in Area 5, since the rollout on the 10th of March, my casework regarding the new scheme has been 0. So fully complimentary to the work that has been done. Whether things will change in a couple of weeks when the holiday lets get used down in Portreath, I will wait and see. But I've got the answers. But thank you for everything that's been done.
Thank you, Councillor Crabtree. Now I'm going to go to Councillor John Conway, please.
Thank you. Could I start by just thanking you, Carol, for the work you put in? I mean, I didn't realise quite how much it involved until our area came into it, which was, it must have been Area 4. We must, because we've just coming out of it. Yes, there were one or two teething problems. Several flats didn't get their bits and pieces, and we had to make sure they got their kit. They've now got their kit, and it's Sunny Lanson is beginning to work quite sweetly, and the things are going. So all I'm want to do is just say thank you very much for the incredible amount of work that you put in quietly, beavering away along with your team, that we don't see because we don't want to talk about waste because it's a nasty subject. But there's an awful lot of work that you do there, and thank you very much for the work you put in over the last 4 years to see there's been a smooth transition to something that's efficiently going to carry on forward.
Thank you, John, very much. It's very much appreciated, your kind words. Thank you very much. And I know the team will be very, very chuffed to hear that as well. Thank you very much.
So, Councillor Conway, I would actually want to talk about waste because I think we've got a lot to celebrate, and there's a lot more to be done. So let's celebrate what we're doing in Cornwall in waste and shouting it out, and then that will peter through to the holiday lets as well, so that Councillor Crabtree doesn't get an increase in his email work. So yeah, let's celebrate waste. Let's talk about it. So thank you. Okay, so it has been proposed and it has been seconded. So I'm going to ask for a show of hands for all those in favour.
Those recommendations are carried.
Okay. Lovely. So agenda item number 8 now. This is preventing homelessness and rough sleeping strategy 25 to 2040. I'm going to be asking Councillor Monk to introduce and propose, and I will be looking for Councillor Ver to second the recommendations. Councillor Monk, thank you.
Thank you, Linda. The Homelessness Act of 2002 requires every local authority to carry out a review of homelessness in their area and to develop and publish a homeless strategy based on the findings. Our current strategy was adopted in 2020 and runs until March 2025. It was important that we reviewed it now so that we can continue to have a live strategy in accordance with our duties. Like many local authorities across the country, we are struggling to prevent homelessness and afford the levels of emergency accommodation we have to provide. We have more than 3 times the number of households in temporary accommodation than we did before the COVID-19 pandemic. The numbers of households in temporary accommodation peaked at 975, but I am pleased to say the numbers are coming down and are currently around 912. This is a clear result of the hard work of everyone, despite the economic challenges faced. I'm clear, though, that it is not enough, and we will have a collective responsibility moving forward and continue to do more. I've consistently championed the provision of new housing of all tenures over the last 4 years. In June 2024, the Cabinet approved the allocation of 17.2 million of capital funds to purchase 50 homes for use of temporary accommodation, taking the pressure off our nightly paid temporary accommodation, which has been topped up by the LAHF3 grant of 2.54 million. In the past few weeks, the council has delivered 24 units in Penryn and Penzance that will provide 1-bedroom supported accommodation for those who have previously been sleeping rough. The Penzance scheme represents a partnership approach across multiple directorates and partners. We start on next week working with Moorish Homes to deliver 12 more homes for young people aged between 18 and 25 at risk of homelessness, utilising funding from Homeless England and HCLG. I have visited many new sites provided by ourselves and our housing association partners. I have championed innovative new approaches like 3C's CIC, who are taking old council stock and bringing it back into use for local people. I have visited lots of homeless facilities and talked to people who are all experiencing or at risk of homelessness. The council has acquired or built 620 homes since 2021. In total, 2,223 affordable homes have been completed since 2021 in partnership with our registered providers and Treveth In addition, we've also rightly focused on the safety of our homes. This work is rooted in collaborative action with our colleagues and partners, including the Housing and Homelessness Alliance, which includes registered providers, voluntary sector organisations, essential in helping us effectively address homelessness. It emphasises prevention, early intervention and responsive support mechanisms to counter the escalating homelessness crisis. Independent consultation and engagement with stakeholders and residents highlights the significant negative impact homelessness has on people's lives and the lives of children who experience homelessness. It tells us that despite the changes we have made, our customers still find it difficult to navigate our homelessness system. The strategy describes our commitment to improving the customer experience and providing access to timely advice, information, and support to prevent homelessness wherever we can. We cannot solve the issue of homelessness on our own as a council. We need the help of landlords, communities, and supporting agencies to work with us. By working together, we will ensure that the experience of homelessness in Cornwall are as brief as possible and will not repeated, and services we provide are empathetic and supportive. I ask the Cabinet to adopt the set of strategy as set out in the papers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Monk. Councillor Burr?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I'm very happy to second the recommendation to approve the Preventing Homelessness and Rough Sleeping strategy that Councillor Monk has set out in the papers. It's good to see in developing the strategy, a wide range of stakeholders have contributed to the final document you see before you today. This strategy supports the delivery of supported and specialist housing strategy to ensure vulnerable adults facing homelessness have access to good quality supported accommodation. It is well known that good quality housing contributes to people's improved health and well-being outcomes. A good example of this is for vulnerable people is our hospital discharge service, which is jointly funded between housing and adult social care, which supports an average of 70 people leaving hospital each year into suitable supported accommodation. I'd like to thank Councillor Monk for presenting the new strategy that communicates our aspirations to end homelessness in Cornwall. I know a lot of hard work has been put into engaging with officers across the council and our partner organisations and our customers that have resulted in the strategy presented to you today. Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Burr. Once again, I'm not seeing any hands going up, but that's not because we have not. Oh, Councillor Ellenbrook, apologies.
Yeah, sorry, just very quickly. One of the things I would like to commend within this strategy is the work that is being done with organisations such as Carefree and also with Live West, one of our RSLs, in the work that they are doing to support our young people leaving care, because that is a time when young people can be very vulnerable, and very often those young people are literally on their own. And I really am very grateful to the work that has been done to support those young people. It's part of our corporate parenting responsibilities, and as any responsible parent, we should be supporting our young people at a vulnerable time. So thank you.
Councillor Monk, did you want to come back?
No, I'd just like to say it's been very interesting to meet the young care leavers, and I think they've made a very strong case for the position they find themselves in. And I think it's just symptomatic of the amount of different cohorts who are desperately struggling for housing. You know, young people, people fleeing domestic violence, people who end up in temporary emergency accommodation through no fault of their own because the landlords have moved out of the sector. And the numbers that we've done over the last few years are good, are okay, but there still needs a lot more to be done. But it's really difficult when you haven't got the tools available. And I don't think the government's got the tools available. They've recently announced a load of extra money for council housing, which is great. But when you extrapolate that downwards and divide it up between the 330 local authorities, that's if London doesn't scrape a load off. It'll end up with, we could end up with 50 more homes, which is fantastic. But we need another 10,000 homes to truly get a grip of the housing crisis. And it's just the scale of the challenge that we face as a county and as a country, that if we are truly to address it, we need really, really drastic intervention from the government and a complete change from them. And whether we get that or not remains to be seen. But it's, in the case of the young people, it's a great start to see some housing specifically provided for them. Thank you.
So, Councillor Monk, I want to thank you because I think, you know, during the last 4 years, I think there's been frustration at times, but it's the fact that you have worked in collaboration with our registered providers. You've obviously worked with the officers. You've gone out to the voluntary sector. You've spoken to so many people. At one time, I was really quite concerned because I thought if Ollie Monk had had his way, we would all been digging foundations at one stage. He was so keen to get started. But as you say, we've made good progress, and I think there are foundations there to start making a difference. So thank you for the work that you've done. Councillor Mole.
Thanks, Leader. And yeah, my thanks goes to Ollie because I think, you know, housing's, it cuts across all our portfolios really, and people land up without a home for all sorts of reasons. And, you know, there's a huge amount of work we do around our rough sleepers and homeless people, you know, who've got very complicated lives, some of these people, and it takes a lot of sorting out. And, you know, and I think housing is that one vital somewhere safe that they can go recoup. It's a huge task. It's not just sometimes a case of somebody's homeless, we need to find them a home. It's other resource that we need to find to fit all that together. And that's a lot of the work that we do through Safer Cornwall and our contacts there. So a huge thank to Ollie because he's always been really supportive of the homeless people and trying to find that connectivity to giving them somewhere safe to go to be able to move on with their lives. And I think, you know, that makes a huge difference. And I think that's something we can be proud of because we actually have made a huge difference to a lot of people in that regard. But the problem doesn't go away. It just is there. It's going to be something that we need to be constantly keeping our eye on. So I think it's just putting a shout out there that it's you know, there's an awful lot of different people looking for homes and we need to find a fit for all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mould. Right, I'm not seeing any hands going up from Cabinet members, and I'm not seeing any hands going up from members outside the Cabinet. So it has been proposed, it has been seconded. All those in favour?
Thank you. Those recommendations are carried.
Thank you. So now I would like to go to agenda item number 9, the local area energy plan. I'll be looking for Councillor Olvey to introduce and propose, and I'll be seconding the recommendations. Councillor Olvey, thank you.
Thank you, Leader. And first of all, I just want to put local area energy plans into some sort of context, because back in January 2019, this council, along with many others, declared a climate emergency and a commitment to reach net zero. And 6 months later, we actually produced a plan on how we were going to do that. But that plan was really no more than a rudimentary map with net zero as a destination plotted on it. We didn't know if we were going to come across any unbridged rivers to cross on the way. What the LAEP does, the local area energy plan does, in effect, we bought ourselves a state-of-the-art sat-nav, which has plotted a number of routes with a destination time at the end of them, and that is the purpose of the LAEP. But to go into my proper notes now, I'm pleased to present the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Local Area Energy Plan, or LAEP, which has been developed over the last 24 months in accordance with national guidance provided by the Energy Regulator and funded by the Southwest Net Zero Hub after commitments made to Cornwall following the G7 summit. Development of the LAEP was led by our carbon neutral Cornwall team, supported by City Science, a specialist consultancy who have developed LAEPs for a number of areas across the country. It provides an important evidence base for the region to deliver our ambitions for a sustainable and energy resilient future and realises the economic and social benefits outlined in our Good Growth Plan. Local area energy planning is a place-based approach that considers factors such as geography, building types, energy infrastructure, energy demand, and security. It addresses the complex interactions of electricity, heating and transport, considering future energy supply and consumption to outline a pathway to future energy system. It is important to note that LAEPs themselves do not set local, regional or national energy policies. Indeed, they provide a local evidence base to inform the National Energy System Operator, or NESO, within the broader context of national action to enable them to implement the ambitions of the government's Clean Power 2030 plan. This means the LAEP is aligned to broader decarbonisation goals whilst addressing the unique needs of local communities, taking account of national and local policies and ensuring that local stakeholders' input plays a central role in shaping its development. Along with informing strategic planning, investments and decision-making related to energy, the outcomes of the LAP will underpin the refresh of the local plan and shape our dialogue with government by demonstrating how Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly can deliver the government's 5 missions for Britain. As articulated in the Good Growth Plan, we know that decarbonisation of Cornwall's local energy system represents an opportunity to invest in our future, unlock green jobs and generate clean growth. The LAEP shows how we can minimise the cost of delivering net zero through maximising the use of locally available resources and technologies by supporting the expansion of innovative renewables such as floating offshore wind, biomethane and deep geothermal. The level of engagement carried out in the production of Cornwall's co-created LAP go well beyond standard practices within energy system planning. Over 4,000 stakeholders have contributed to the LAP's development to date, including our regional utility providers, National Grid Energy National Grid Energy Distribution and Wales and West Utilities, local energy producers, representatives from the transport and housing sectors, academia, residents and businesses. This process has allowed us to gather valuable feedback, understand constraints and identify opportunities. In doing so, the plan represents a favourable and realistic projection of the local energy system changes whilst considering local preferences, needs and priorities in our communities, such as the levels of public acceptance and support for measures such as new technologies and willingness for behaviour change. This was developed by integrating local stakeholder perspectives with the technical analysis conducted for the LAP to define acceptable boundaries for future renewable energy deployment, projected uptake of renewable fuels and anticipated future energy demand. However, it is important to recognise that the best outlook within the LAP focuses on technologies that can be deployed to enable the net zero transition today. As technology advances, policy decisions are made and alternative fuel supply chains developed, and that affects future LAPs, which will need to consider emerging trends and incorporate them into Cornwall's energy system transition planning as appropriate. The LAP also makes it clear that whilst the Council will play a contributory role, delivery of the LAP and a net zero energy system requires systems leadership across multiple sectors, meaning work will continue with stakeholders to develop an implementation plan and to further define the recommended actions and governance arrangements required to deliver our net zero missions. Furthermore, the LAP highlights the critical role of government to provide the long-term policy and investment required to reach net zero and support local and national ambitions for growth and clean energy. As we continue to develop our response to the climate emergency, the local area energy plan provides a credible evidence base for decarbonising the future energy system and realising the economic opportunities articulated in our Good Growth Plan. Therefore, I believe endorsing it in our final cabinet is a vital step towards unlocking a sustainable, resilient and prosperous future for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. And I just want to finish by paying particular credit to our officers, Mark Holmes, Nick Hayden and his team, for the incredible amount of work that has been involved in getting this some almost 400-page LAEP to us today, but also to recognise that in doing this, we are actually, again, Cornwall leading the pack in terms of local area energy planning. Yeah, this is the first co-produced rural local energy plan anywhere in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alvey. I'm really pleased to be seconding the recommendations, and I'm really proud that Cornwall continues to be recognised as a leader in the development on our approach for responding to the climate and ecological emergencies, alongside ongoing work to adapt to the already challenging climate. The local area energy plan enables us to better illustrate the local benefits and export opportunities associated with the net zero transition to our residents, businesses and partners. Utilising the nationally approved methodology to produce the first rural and island LAEP, the evidence-based and co-design pathway will inform our dialogue with regional and national organisations, along with providing indicative costs and investment required. Unlock opportunities to cut the bills, improve our air quality, create jobs and deliver energy security with cheaper, zero carbon electricity. The plan also articulates the initial actions and next steps required to develop a net zero energy system and support local and national ambitions for growth and clean energy, enabling us to capture the wider benefits to help create a more resilient economy and a fairer and inclusive society. Therefore, I believe that endorsing the LAEP in our final meeting of the Cabinet will enable Cornwall to create an energy future that is cleaner, more affordable and retains the economic and social benefits in the region for future generations. I'd just like to add something. Only a couple of weeks ago, I was asked to observe People and Places, LGA, and one of the points I was able to make was that the government have a clear economic strategy, and the focus does seem to be on our more urban areas. But as everyone hopefully knows, Cornwall is the leader on Britain's leading edge, and we've got 14 authorities that are joining with us. And we are really wanting to emphasise the point that we can deliver on the government's ambition for clean and green. And please do not overlook us. So if anyone's listening in a couple of weeks' time, I'll look at the monitoring officer for that. I hope it's somebody from the Labour government who can actually pick up the amazing work that has been done here. And thank you, Martin, for your work as well. And as I say, I'm really, really happy that we are a trailblazer in delivering on this. So I can see Phil's discreetly put his hand up. So can I bring in Phil Mason, please? Thank you. Phil, would you mind introducing yourself?
Of course, Leader. Phil Mason, Strategic Director for Sustainable Growth and Development. And I don't want to repeat anything that's already been said, but on the point, Leader, that you've just been making about getting Cornwall noticed, I just wanted to reflect, as you know, over the last 2 weeks, we've hosted visits by both Crown Estate and GB Energy, and the local area energy plan has played a prominent role in showing that we're a credible place in which we know what our evidence is showing, and also know that the connections that can be made from our energy planning, investment in energy, and those other critical sectors of growth that we've got, such as critical minerals. And I think that's been really well appreciated and has been an absolute part of convincing, in my view at least, those partners, potential partners, that we're a good place to do business and to invest. So I think the plan is helping us get noticed, at least on a national stage, if not internationally, for people who will genuinely want to come and invest in Cornwall and do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. So I'm not seeing any more hands going up from Cabinet, but I will bring in Councillor Mike Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. I've scanned through this report very quickly, so I may have missed something, being something we need to celebrate here about Helston, which I'm sure the Leader would want to join in with me here. Every opportunity to mention.
What you say, first of all.
Well, we're celebrating the canopies out in the car park, but what about the heat pumps and solar panels on the former Budgeons building and Gateway, which Phil will know very well because he went there pre-COVID and identified it as a fantastic resource to invest in. And now the images that can be seen down, so I'm sure you were taken down into the plant room, absolute amazing, where science fiction meets science fact. Just so sad that there's not a huge sort of feature on that those heat pumps and the solar panels on top of that former supermarket. So I really ask for an additional page to be put in here about Helston. For goodness sake, Helston's wonderful state-of-the-art, really important building missed out. Why? Why? That's my question. If apart from anything, why is Helston missed out again?
Right, so nice plug, and I'm going to make it worse, and I hope the monitoring officer doesn't give me a look. But I will take the opportunity to acknowledge the amazing collaboration from within the Helston company, Helston community on delivering. I think they're calling it Helston Gateway now as opposed to Budgeons.
Yes, it's the Gateway. It was Gateway in the 1980s as a supermarket. Yes. And I must stress, there's no political issue here at all. It's just totally everybody's together on this. It's non-political.
No, and that is a clear use of the difference that shared prosperity funding has made to the community. So thank you. No, I'm not seeing any more hands. Nobody else wants. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Crabtree. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm always quiet and refined. That's the problem. Thank you. Thank you, Leader. Not a lot to add compared after Councillor Alvey's comments, but as once again the Chair of Overview and Scrutiny, I would just like to thank all the officers for the hard work on this. And when they did come before the committee, I think it threw the timetable for the debates out of the window because there's so many questions. But I fully endorse the report in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crabtree, and thank you for the work that you've done in helping to bring us to this particular moment in time. So I'm not seeing any more hands going up, so I'm going to ask for a show of hands from Cabinet, please.
Yeah, thank you. Those recommendations are carried.
Lovely, thank you. So agenda item number 10 is Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly Nature Recovery. Oh, Martin, there's some applause over there, so let's acknowledge it. Oh, well done. Thank you. So agenda item number 10, Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly Nature Recovery Strategy. So I'll be looking again to Councillor Alvey to introduce and propose, and I'll be looking for Councillor Worth to second the recommendations. And the audience, please stay, especially if you're going to clap at the end of this one. So over to Councillor Alvey.
Thank you again, Leader, and I apologise to Cabinet colleagues for reading the papers this time. Pretty much the bulk of it is stuff that I produced. So the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly are well known for our amazing wildlife, which underpins our economy, culture and sense of place. We have been recognised as leaders in the development of our approaches to responding to the climate and ecological emergencies alongside ongoing work to adapt to the already changing climate. Early in the tenure of this administration, Cornwall Council declared an ecological emergency following the publication of the first ever Cornwall State of Nature report. The report made it clear that protecting nature was not enough. We need to expand and rejuvenate our natural spaces and unblock the wider benefits for health, the economy, that nature can bring. In recognition of the commitments we made, I'm delighted that in our final Cabinet meeting, I am able to bring the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Nature Recovery Strategy for adoption. This is the culmination of 2 years of hard work and dedication by Cornwall's Nature Recovery team. And I just want to pause to pay credit to Philippa, Dougie and Beth, who are sat there in the public gallery. Basically, all this is all their work and their teams. I've lost my place now. So reaching this stage means that if accepted by Cabinet today, it will become the third nature recovery strategy to be adopted in England, maximising the potential for unlocking DEFRA implementation funding. The Nature Recovery Strategy is a statutory requirement of the Environment Act and will act as a new locally led blueprint for nature recovery across Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly, helping to prioritise where and how to invest and take action for nature. Having been one of 5 regions to pilot the LNRS process in 2021 to 2022, Cornwall Council was named as one of the 45 responsible authorities across England for the production of the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Nature Recovery Strategy in May 2023, with associated new burdens funding from government for undertaking this additional statutory function. Informed by national guidance and building on the principles and approaches utilised in the pilot to ensure our residents, communities, businesses, farmers and landowners were engaged and informed during the co-design process, Cornwall Council worked with the Council of the Isles of Scilly and Natural England as supporting authorities and the local nature partnership in their role as a steering group to co-design the nature recovery strategy and supporting nature recovery network maps. A spatial framework that will inform the refresh of the local plan. We worked closely with the University of Exeter to produce the nature recovery network maps, which show opportunities to recover nature across the region in support of local and national ambitions for 30% of land, rivers and seas to be well managed for nature by 2030. In recognition of the importance of farming in our economy and the vital role farmers and landowners have in managing our landscapes, we worked closely with the sector to shape this strategy. This aligns to our commitment to support farmers to deliver for nature through the transition towards sustainable land management practices that contribute to nature recovery whilst remaining viable businesses producing quality food for the country. Alongside this, there were over 2,000 points of engagement over the last 20 months via surveys, webinars, workshops and drop-ins, ensuring residents, strategic organisations, farmers, land managers and community groups were able to shape the strategy and maps throughout its development. What has been clear throughout the creation of this strategy is the strength of positive connection our local communities have with our natural world, how nature makes them feel happier, healthier, inspired, and provides them with food, clean water, and space to play. The public consultation feedback was overwhelmingly positive and essential in shaping the draft strategy and maps submitted to the supporting authorities to complete their pre-publication assessment as part of the statutory process. I was delighted to hear that the strategy has now been officially adopted by the Council of Isles of Scilly, and that actually happened on Monday, and following their endorsement, Natural England. In a recent newsletter to other responsible authorities, DEFRA recognised our strategy as an example of good practice for both its ease and use of mapping outputs. So we haven't just produced a strategy here, we've really knocked it out of the park. In recognition, the strategy and its early adoption builds on our nationally recognised approach to nature recovery and recognises the Council's multidimensional leadership role and the importance of well-evidenced priorities to address how and where to take action to recover nature to contribute to a thriving and sustainable Cornwall. Once adopted, the Nature Recovery Strategy will play a vital role in delivering mandatory biodiversity net gain for developments, along with delivering the long-term ambitions for the Environmental Growth Strategy and Cornwall Good Growth Plan. Adopting the NRS also presents an opportunity for the Council to lead by example in the management of its own natural assets and open spaces, by progressing the development of the Cornwall Council Nature Recovery Delivery Plan. This will ensure Cornwall Council remains a leader in delivering nature recovery through its own functions, maximises income generation potential and ensures the council meets the new strengthened biodiversity duty relevant to all public authorities. I'm proud that alongside seeing the 1 millionth tree planted through the Forest for Cornwall, I'm able to bring the nature recovery strategy for adoption in my role as portfolio holder for environment and climate change. I believe it will be an essential tool in shaping local action and establishing the vital partnerships required to recover nature, bring it closer to our communities, and unlocking essential funding through emerging nature markets to ensure nature is bigger, better, and more joined up in the future. We need to deliver more for nature so that our children and grandchildren can experience the joys of a quality natural environment that sees hedgehogs in their gardens, hear woodlands bursting with sound of birds, and country lanes bordered by spring flowers. Thank you, Leader.
Martin, that was lovely, actually. Thank you. And I'm now going to go to Councillor Martin Worth to second.
Thank you, Leader, and delighted to second this. And really, in a way, I don't want to do this with notes. Really, I just want to talk about the experience. I've worked with Councillor now for 4 years. We've worked very closely in this particular instance with the national landscape in the Tamar. And to see this plan come to fruition, particularly working alongside our residents. You mentioned all the words, and you know, I'm going to go through DEFRA and FitPool and the farming and working together with people. But the important thing really for me is to see the setting up of the wildlife corridors. The nature doesn't really care about borders. And we have this position in certainly our part of Cornwall, where yes, we're concerned about the environment and the business and how this works together with tourists. But as an example, we've set up, and it's on the Devon bank, there's all these ospreys. And the ospreys don't actually care which side of the river they go. They're everywhere. And it's a delight to see them as part of some of the funding that's gone in developing this. And particularly when you mentioned earlier on the children, to witness the school walking down to a forest that's now been laid, and it's a Maiwaki forest, have I got the name right? I probably have, where they've put 100 trees intensely in the middle of this developing field. They've got their names on that. And we want to see them now grow along with the children. They've recorded it, it's for them. And that's all come out of the plans that have been put together through the National Landscape, through the Nature Recovery Plan. And that's the real life of what's going on. So I'm delighted to second this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it grow. So thank you, Leader.
I just want to come back to, well, you know, a few words that Councillor Alvey said. I think we all recognise that we live in a beautiful county, but I think the work that's been done here with our nature recovery strategy will absolutely help reinforce where we want to be. And more importantly, you know, I've got grandchildren, and I think what's being said here, what's being done here, what's being proposed will absolutely make a difference for my grandchildren. And Martin, when you said about hedgehogs, I do have to mention this, and I'm sorry to be parochial, but we had a fence installed in our garden a couple of weeks ago, and my one big criteria was to make sure I had a gap for the hedgehogs to come through. I think the fencer thought I was a bit bizarre, but it's in place. So, and I'm really hoping that I'm going to see some hedgehogs coming through. So thank you. Now,
I think that's what you call leading by example.
Yeah. Well, it will be if the hedgehogs start coming through. Okay, so Councillor Ellenbrook, please.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to highlight the things that have been happening, and I am going to be parochial, in the Campbell Pool Redruth area, because it's always looked upon as that horrible, dirty, ex-industrial place, quite frankly, and it's not, Councillor Harris. I will kill you afterwards. But what has happened in our area over the last few years has been the Making Space for Nature project, which is actually mentioned on page 169 of the actual document. We also had the green infrastructure work done within Camden Pool, Lug and Redruth. We've had a lot of work done on Tahiti Country Park. And again, we've had some of our young people planting some trees in East End Park, which is a big open space within Redruth. And what I want to emphasise really is that this making space for nature and all these other things are really important for all our residents, and particularly for our young people to get involved in. And it was the young people from Penarth School who actually came and planted those trees. And it is just so important, again, like with the recycling, that our young people who may well not live in places where they do have a garden, to actually understand and appreciate what is going on in the environment that they actually live in. So I absolutely endorse and support this, and thank you so far to Cornwall Council for all the work they've done in the area that I live in to enhance what is actually a very beautiful place to live, Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Councillor Ellenbrook. Now, I'm not seeing any more hands going up from Cabinet, so I'm going to go to Councillor Crabtree, please.
Thank you, Leader. First of all, can I say a great big thank you to Councillor Ellenbrook. It's the first time I've been called a young person for a long time. Because I was in East End Park planting the trees as well. I was invited, and I did plant 2 in there, so I feel a lot younger now. No, once again, this is something that came before neighbourhoods. We fully endorse it. As far as Tahiti's concerned, I'd also like to plug that since this administration started, and after a lot of arm twisting for cabinet members and officers, we have now got the Tahiti Advisory Group working on improving facilities around there as well. And we've also got to complement the management of all the people that manage the woodlands, because of all the work that has been going on within Tahiti, with the coppicing of some trees ready for the planting again in October this year of the next generation. But I fully support it, along with the Neighbourhoods Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and thank all officers for their work involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crabtree. And I'm going to go to Councillor John Conway. Do you have a hedgehog story to share with us?
Hedgehogs, no, not today. I could probably think of one eventually, but no. Page 118 of the Nature Recovery Strategy: Restore Healthy Rivers. Now, the mighty Tamar. I've got about 50 yards of it in my constituency, so it's. But unfortunately, the Tamar has been probably one of the major problems I've had with casework recently. Not because of the fact that it's there, not because of the fact it does keep Devonians out of Cornwall, but the big problem with the Tamar at present is the fact that there is a sewage farm in Launceston, which is apparently chucking stuff it shouldn't be chucking out into the mighty Tamar, which doesn't do much good for nature recovery further downstream. And there's no mention within this of that, which is something which is essential that we do keep a tag on, that if we got to maintain our rivers. As I say, Tamar's a beautiful river. It's a super thing, and as Councillor Worth has already said, there's ospreys on the wrong bank a bit further downstream. But could we please also bear in mind that we've got to keep an eye on South West Water and what they're chucking in the river, so to keep the wildlife and everything else safe and maintain the beauty that we deserve.
Thank you, Councillor Conway. Councillor Alvey, is this something you want to pick up with Councillor Conway out of here?
Yes, certainly, and really just to address this point, I basically I agree that part of the strategy is to ensure that things like pollution of our rivers not just stops, but is reversed, and water quality is improved.
So I'm not seeing any more hands. So it has been proposed, it has been seconded. Can I see a show of hands, please? Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Those recommendations are carried.
Thank you. Well, I'm using your. So, right. Agenda item number 11, any other business that the chairman considers to be of urgency? I have none.
Linda, may I interrupt, please? This is our last cabinet of this administration, and I don't think we should let this go without noting it, and in particular your contribution. You've steered the cabinet down some difficult roads, but we've stuck together and only had the odd mild spat, which is an absolute tribute to your leadership and guidance. So on behalf of your colleagues, thank you.
If I can just quickly come back before the chief executive nudges me out of the way. I did want to take this opportunity. Yes, it is our last cabinet, and I'm really, really proud of the work that the cabinet members have done to bring us to this point. But I really want to acknowledge the fact that however good we are and how we've achieved our ambitions and what we wanted to and how we wanted to make a difference to the people of Cornwall, we have Kate Canally as the chief executive and the huge team that sit behind you, who have helped us, guided us, given advice, whether we've taken it or not, but they've been there to provide that. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. It's over 5,000 staff, and everyone in their own way has helped us. And I really want to say a really big thank you to everybody involved. And we are where we are because of that help and support. So thank you, Kate.
Yeah.
Oh, can I bring, I'll bring in Kate and then I'll bring in Councillor Giles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader. I'd just like to endorse the comments that were made by the Deputy Leader on behalf of all of the council staff and in particular the senior leadership team that have worked very closely with this cabinet over the last 4 years to take forward your mission of working together for a carbon neutral Cornwall where people can start well, live well and age well and deliver on your 4 priority outcomes. And I think that the papers that have come forward to this last cabinet feel like a very nice bookending to series of some very detailed and considered work that cabinet's done. We've given you literally thousands of pages of reports to wade through. I haven't done the sums on it, but I know that it is an awful lot of careful and considered work that cabinet has done. And I'd like to thank all of the different cabinet members that we've worked with over the 4 years. For those that are standing again, to wish you all the best in the election, and I will see you at the count. But to take this opportunity to particularly thank the way in which that I've had the privilege of working alongside the leader. We have complementary roles, but the way in which that this partnership have worked, I think, has been a real tribute to the leadership that we've seen from Councillor Taylor. I witnessed not only her leadership within the authority, but nationally and within the place. And I think that that is a important role that only the leader of the council is able to perform, and that you've been a visible, clear leader for Cornwall and for Cornwall Council. And I think that on behalf of council officers, we've really appreciated that. So thank you, Cabinet. Thank you, Leader.
So Councillor Giles.
Yes, I just wanted to endorse it really and say thank you to all of the cabinet, past and present, because you've done a sterling job. And my grateful thanks. And I've seen you have to make some really serious and not very pleasant decisions over the past few years. And I just want to say thank you.
Okay. So on that, I can officially formally close the last cabinet of this administration. Thank you. Okay.